Hello and welcome to the Gay Cruise and Travel Podcast with me, Jess Joey T. Hey everybody, Happy New Year, Happy 2015. Hope you rang it in with a bang. Today, we're going to talk about an email that Atlantis released on Christmas Eve, I believe. It was a peculiar time of the holidays for them to send it out. They even mentioned it, that they are intentionally sending this out on Christmas Eve since it's a slow day for emails. Anyways, this email was sent to everyone who has already been booked on the February cruise coming up in just about a month's time. We're only about 4 weeks away from the cruise. So this is the Royal Caribbean Allure of the Seas sailing from Miami down to the Caribbean, aka the big one, aka the party cruise, February 3rd to the 10th. As is usual with Atlantis, about a month or so before a sailing, they will send out emails to everyone who's been booked to give them more information on various things. And this particular email that went out on Christmas Eve is a big one with a lot of information. So especially for those of you who are new to Atlantis cruises, maybe this is the very first time you will be going on an Atlantis cruise. Maybe you've been on one or two before, so you're still getting the hang of what it's like to prepare for an Atlantis cruise. Or even if you've been on 30, 40, 50 cruises before and you just want to make sure you got all of the preparations down, I'm going to go through all the various aspects of this email and kind of sort of give you my advice on some of the things that the email covers. It is quite a lengthy email, so I'm going to help you zoom in on the parts that are really, really important and also give you some additional insight on some of the things from my experience that the email doesn't quite cover. So let's get to it. Okay, can I tell you something for real? Skincare is not really a sexy topic. No one's waking up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, I have to take care of my skin. I know I talk a lot on the podcast. I have a lot of opinions and I have a lot of advice to give. But if you don't listen to me about anything, listen to me about this. You have to take care of yourself and you also have to take care of your skin. I believe in it so much and I think it's such a critical thing that I started my own skincare company, Serve Labs, to serve fun and functional skincare for everyone. And you know what? Not to toot my own horn, but people are always telling me, your skin looks so good and I can't believe how old you are. Do you know why? Because I've been taking care of my skin for many, many years. But I know for a lot of you, skincare just sounds like another chore. But I want to make it fun. And that's where Serve Labs comes in. Go to servelabs.co, servelabs.co, or follow us at Serve Labs on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and discover how easy and fun it is to treat your skin right with Serve Labs. So like I just said, everyone who is booked with Atlantis should have received this email on Christmas Eve. However, if you booked pretty close to Christmas time, there's a chance that maybe Atlantis Systems hasn't quite registered you to the point where you made the email blast for this particular email. Or maybe you booked just after Christmas and obviously you wouldn't have gotten this email that was sent on Christmas Eve. You can actually look at the full contents of the email on the Atlantis website. They just have the exact same text there. They just basically copy pasted the email onto their website as well. So just go to Atlantis' official website, atlantisevents.com. You can go to the section for this specific cruise, the 35th anniversary cruise on the Allure of the Seas. And then there will be a already booked quote unquote section for that particular cruise. And then you just go there and there's a little section called Getting Ready for the Big One. And you can follow along there. So the first section in the email that's right at the very top is a section asking you to register with Royal Caribbean. So once again, Atlantis, they charter ships from the cruise lines, Royal Caribbean in this case, and the cruise lines have their own registration process. It's kind of like when you book a plane ticket to fly somewhere, you buy the plane ticket in advance, but as you get closer to the flight, you have to check in for the flight. So it's kind of a bit the same process here. You got yourself a ticket to go onto the cruise with Atlantis. They're selling the rooms and the sailings. But then as we get closer to the sailing itself, with Royal Caribbean, the cruise lines themselves, you would need to do a registration. So I just want to point out right off the top that you don't have to register with Royal Caribbean online before the cruise to actually get on board. If you don't register with Royal Caribbean, it's actually completely fine. You can just show up on boarding day as long as you're not late. You can just go up to the counter as long as you have your ID, your passport, your credit card, all that kind of stuff. You can do everything just in person at the time that you go to the port. So it's not really absolutely mandatory that you register with Royal Caribbean. Obviously, I think Atlantis would prefer everyone register ahead of time, and so what Royal Caribbean would prefer you to do that too. But it does speed things up a little bit. There's like less paperwork, a little less time it would take to check everybody in at the port. And when you keep in mind that there's going to be something like 5,500 passengers going on this particular sailing, the Allure de Seas is one of the biggest cruise ships in the world, if you didn't know. Every 2 or 3 minutes they save on every single passenger. That really adds up when you multiply by 5,500 passengers. So, but just to let you know, if you don't get a chance for whatever reason to register now, especially for those people who might be booking their room kind of late for the cruise, a lot of people are selling rooms on the cruises, for example. So if you are kind of last minute booking the cruise and you didn't have a chance to register with Royal Caribbean in advance on the website or via the mobile app, absolutely do not worry. And then you can just do it at the counter on boarding day. But there are advantages to registering with Royal Caribbean before the cruise sets sail. So in the days and weeks before we actually go on the cruise. One of those advantages is that you can pre-book certain things like shore excursions, the Wi-Fi internet packages, certain specialty dining packages, beverage packages. You can buy something called, quote unquote, The Key, which is a Royal Caribbean priority access thing, and you get some additional perks as well. Those are just some examples of things you can pre-book, pre-purchase ahead of time, days and weeks before the cruise. Sometimes some of those things are discounted when you purchase in advance. Sometimes they actually are more expensive when you buy beforehand, and because sometimes they like to do onboard discounts. It really depends on the thing, but at least you have the option to buy them in advance. And sometimes some of these things are not available to buy on board. So it really depends, obviously, with Royal Caribbean and all the other cruise lines. There's a lot of things they try to upsell you on. So when you do register with Royal Caribbean, assuming you have the chance to do that, once you do the registration, you'll see all the different things that are available for you to pre-book, pre-reserve, pre-buy before we get going on that sailing. So when you get the email, you're looking at it, there'll be a section that gives you your Royal Caribbean reservation number, which is different than your Atlantis reservation number. So just keep that in mind. The RC number is not the same as the Atlantis number. If you take the Atlantis number to register on Royal Caribbean's website or the app, it will not work. However, if you don't see any Royal Caribbean reservation number in your email, don't worry. This happens quite frequently, actually, especially for people who have just recently booked onto the cruise. It usually takes something like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks between the time when you book and then sometimes before everything kind of shows up in the Royal Caribbean systems. There's like a little bit of a lag there. So if you only booked, I don't know, sometime in December, and then on this email that was sent on Christmas Eve, you don't see a Royal Caribbean reservation number in the email, it's just blank on that line, you're still booked as long as you have kind of gone through all the steps you need to do with Atlantis to confirm your reservation. You're still booked. Don't worry. Atlantis should be sending out more emails about this particular sailing as we get closer to February. So if you don't get your number now, you'll probably get it sometime later in January. But don't worry if your number is missing. It's actually quite common. Finally, on registering with Royal Caribbean, doesn't matter how many people are assigned to a particular stateroom. Each room only has one Royal Caribbean reservation number. So if you are going to have a roommate, maybe you're going with a friend or your significant other, you might both get this email, but as long as you're staying in the same room, it should be the same Royal Caribbean reservation number that you both have. You can both register with Royal Caribbean. You're going to have your own login to Royal Caribbean, for example, but you're going to use the exact same reservation number if you're going to be in the same room. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of different things you can pre-buy and pre-book and pre-purchase like drinks and especially restaurants and all that kind of stuff, we're going to zoom in a little bit on just a couple of these things, which is on beverages and on the food offerings. And these are the next sections that are in the email. So let's talk about drinks first. There's something brand new that Atlantis is doing for this sailing, and it's very important because it's very significant, and it's a good thing. Every stateroom is going to come with 42 drink tickets, standard, already included with your fare without any extra cost. Maybe Atlantis might have done this thing where they included drink tickets with rooms like once or twice or three times very recently. But historically, drink tickets are a bit of a newer concept for Atlantis. They haven't really included drink tickets as standard with the staterooms up until the first time I heard about it was in 2024, last year, this concept. So let's dig a little bit more into it because this concept could be quite new to a lot of you. So again, every stateroom comes with 42 drink tickets. So most rooms assume double occupancy. So if there's two people to a stateroom, then each person will have 21 tickets. If you booked a room all to yourself, you get 42 drink tickets all to yourself. Now, what are drink tickets? On Royal Caribbean, they are physical paper tickets that you get that you can go up to a bar or wherever and you exchange the tickets for drinks. It's like a voucher. It's exactly like a physical voucher. It only works for drinks. Each ticket is $7 worth of drinks. And you can combine multiple tickets for more expensive drinks. So for example, if a drink is $14 on the menu, you can give them 2 tickets. 2 times 7 is 14. Some drinks are free, but most drinks are not. All the alcohol is going to be not free. There are no free alcohol options on Royal Caribbean cruises. The only free beverage options you really have is if you're at a restaurant, water, drip coffee, tea, like tea bags. I think those are usually the only free options when you go to a restaurant. Soda is not free. Usually most sailings, especially if you register on the Royal Caribbean website, one of the things you can usually buy is a soda package. And usually there's a few different options depending on the sailing. But soda is not free. Alcohol is not free. At the Windjammer buffet, if my memory serves me correct, there is a fountain machine. It doesn't dispense soda, but it gives you like a lemonade, like artificial, not from real lemons lemonade. Because I know I sometimes used to drink that. But suffice to say, there are very few free beverage options on the Royal Caribbean cruises, including this one that we're about to go on. But, that's not so big of a problem now that everybody is going to have free drink tickets included as part of their fare, okay? So the advantages of having drink tickets is that you get faster service. So if you didn't have drink tickets, how you would buy a beverage, if you go to a bar, for example, is you would have your C Pass, which is a key card that allows you access to your room, but it's also how you pay for things. Every time you need to buy or pay for anything, you give them the C Pass and they charge it to your room. So there's no cash on board any of these cruises. Everything is through your account and your C Pass card, okay? You go to a bar, you say, I want whatever drink. You give them your C Pass. They have to tap or swipe it through the kiosk behind the bar. And then that's how they process the payment, right? So obviously with just this paper ticket, you just give them the ticket and they don't need to go up to the kiosk. They don't need to swipe your card. There's no computers involved. They don't need to look up your account or anything. They just take your paper ticket and then they give you the drink. So the transaction, the payment part of it is faster, especially if you are at a very busy bar where there are a lot of people trying to get drinks. Every 20, 30 seconds that someone can shave off a order, you multiply that by how many people or drinks people are trying to order, it really makes a big difference. And also sometimes your key card might be in your bag or in a weird pocket. You have to fish it out, and sometimes that's a bit of a hassle. So you get faster service is basically the end result. It's one of the advantages of using the ticket. You don't have to fish out your C Pass every time you want to drink. You can give the tickets to other people. The tickets are not linked to anyone or any room or any account. You on the sailing with friends, okay? And you want to give some tickets for your friends to buy all you guys drink because you guys all lounge by the pool. You could just have one friend go up to the bar and get 4 drinks for like the group of 4 of you instead of you all having to whatever. So again, give the tickets to anyone that you like. Complete stranger, your friend, whoever. It's a little bit cheaper because you're prepaying for the drink ticket. So obviously every room comes with the drink tickets, but you can also buy additional packs of drink tickets. So let's say, you do the math, and there's 2 people to your room. Each of you gets 21 tickets, a standard. And you're thinking, you know what? I'm most likely going to use up all of these tickets and still want more drinks. You can actually purchase additional tickets on the Atlantis website right now for like a fixed price. So until January 10th, you can buy a pack of 21 tickets for $144 US total, including the 18% gratuity. After January the 10th, that goes up a little bit. It'll be $160, including the gratuity for a pack of 21 tickets. But if you buy the tickets in advance, the additional tickets, is a little bit cheaper than if you were to just buy a drink normally, not using tickets with your SeaPass card. I think it turns out to be like a little bit of a discount. So if you are wanting to buy additional tickets, using tickets to pay for the drinks is a little bit cheaper than if you didn't prepay it for the tickets and you just bought it at the point that you're ordering the drink. Now, the disadvantages of having tickets is they can be lost or stolen. They're just little paper tickets. If you happen to drop some tickets by accident, and again, because they're not attached to your name or any person or any room, etc., someone can just pick up tickets that you dropped and they can go buy a drink and there's basically no way to trace it back. It's one more thing to forget to bring with you when you leave a room. I always have this problem that I forget to bring something when I leave my stateroom. Sometimes, I'm only a few steps after I've left my stateroom and then I remember, oh, I forgot this. I forgot my drink tickets that I can go back to my room. But if you're at like the opposite end of the ship, your room is at the front of the ship and you're at a restaurant or bar or whatever that's at the back of the ship, it's a long trek back to your room to grab your drink tickets. And that's really annoying. Again, this is a very big ship. Walking from one end to the other is a bit of a walk. The tickets don't work for Starbucks. So they work for pretty much every type of beverage that is not free, except for the Starbucks that's on board. That's annoying for me, but it's one of the things that I would really want for this to work for is Starbucks, because I love getting lattes. But the drink tickets do not work for Starbucks. If you want a Starbucks, you have to just use your SeaPass card and you have to charge it for your room. Now, this final disadvantage, I can't tell exactly if this is the way it's going to happen, but it doesn't make sense to me. Because the email alludes to that you have to go pick up the tickets. And this was the case in previous sailings where people could buy the drink tickets, but the drink tickets didn't come with every stateroom. In my head, I'm thinking, if every room comes with tickets, shouldn't they just put the tickets in everybody's room so that you don't get 5,500 guys trying to pick up tickets all on boarding day, which sounds like logistically a complete nightmare? So the email wasn't explicit about this. But in my head, I'm thinking they should just put 42 tickets in every stateroom that is booked so that people have the tickets that they're supposed to have anyways. And if people want it, or if people have bought additional tickets on top of that, then they maybe have to go somewhere to pick it up. But I don't know. I'm in my head thinking, shouldn't they just deliver the tickets since everybody's getting tickets? Anyways, there is a link in the email to buy additional tickets if you want additional ones. So you can kind of sort of do the math and think how many tickets you think you might need. And then if you feel like you can buy more, there's a little bit of a discount if you buy more tickets on the Atlantis website until January the 10th, which is by the end of this week. You buy them sometime this week, the week that this podcast comes out. Hey, when was the last time you really took care of your skin? The skin is the largest organ in the whole human body and is doing so much for you. It protects you from germs and cooties. It keeps you warm when you're cold. It keeps you cool when you're hot. It's making vitamin D. It gives you the gift of touch and sensation. And that's just scratching the surface. So you better take care of it I started my own skincare company, Serve Labs, to serve fun and functional skincare for everyone so that you can serve fun while serving face. Go to servelabs.co, servelabs.co, or follow us at Serve Labs on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and discover how easy and fun it is to treat your skin right with Serve Labs. All right, next topic we're talking about is food, and there's another brand new thing, another brand new perk, if you will. Every stateroom comes with all these drink tickets. Every passenger is going to get a voucher for one lunch or dinner at a specialty restaurant. Just like with the drinks, there are free restaurants, and then there are not free restaurants. There are free food options and paid food options. So specialty restaurants, quote unquote, are the restaurants that are not free. Okay, we have some free restaurants like Windjammer, which is the buffet. There's the main dining, which is just like huge dining restaurant where you sit down. There's waiter service. There's a menu, proper 3-course meal. That's free. And there's also the Solarium Bistro, which does breakfast and lunch. So those are examples or some of the free restaurants. But there are also some specialty restaurants. Just very quickly here, Chop's Grill, which is a grill. Giovanni's Table is Italian. There's a Japanese and hibachi place. For any of the specialty sit-down restaurants, it's nice that every passenger is going to get a free voucher for either lunch or dinner to use. A few fine prints for this voucher, though. So it says in the email, you're going to get it at the same time that you pick up your drink tickets. Again, in my head, I'm thinking, if every passenger is going to get a ticket, can't they just deliver it to everybody's room so you don't have 5,500 guys trying to line up to pick up tickets? Anyways, I don't know exactly how that works. I hope Atlantis has figured out the logistics so there's not like thousands of passengers trying to pick up drink tickets and restaurant vouchers. And it says that you need to make reservations at the specialty restaurants while on board for the same day or the next day. So there's some limitations to making the reservations. You can only make the reservations while you're on board for the vouchers, and you can only make reservations for that same day or the next day. So you can't make it for like 3 or 4 days down the road. The vouchers are only valid for the first 5 days of the cruise. Remember, this is a 7-day cruise. So day 1 is the day that you board. So for the final 2 days, the vouchers don't work anymore. And the vouchers are not transferable. So as far as I can tell, unlike with the drink tickets, where it's not linked to any one or any person, the vouchers might be linked to a particular passenger. I think maybe how they're enforcing this is when you make a reservation with a specialty restaurant, you have to tell them your name or your stateroom. And then that way, because they have your room info, they know who you are, they know what room you're staying in. They know how many passengers, which passenger are staying in that room. Then that way, only one voucher credit will apply for each passenger. So I think there is a way for them to enforce that. That's kind of a nice throw in. Obviously, the cost of the cruise has gone up over the years. I was just talking to a friend about the price of this particular cruise that's been sailing pretty much every January or February. And the price hasn't gone up that much over like the last 2 or 3 years since COVID was over, since about 2022. The price has kind of sort of been in like the same range. But I just looked at the cost of this equivalent cruise back in like 2019, and it was like way, way cheaper. So, I mean, it's something that at least they're throwing in some extra stuff with your fare now that they've increased the prices so much compared to like, pre-pandemic. Yeah, so these are free things that come with your fare. So, the drink tickets, this one voucher for lunch or dinner at a specialty restaurant, because it is free, go use it. Hopefully you guys can get the best use of it. Just know that there is a little bit of fine print for using some of these tickets and these vouchers, and all of that is on the email, all the fine print, and also on the website. And I've tried to highlight some of those fine prints for you guys here. Now we can talk about something a little bit more fun. Well, I think drinks are fun too, but this is like fun, which is the theme parties. So every sailing, people are always looking forward to, when did the party themes come out? When did the party themes come out? Oh. In the last episode of this podcast, I went through some of the common Atlantis party themes that Atlantis throws for pretty much all of their cruises. That was recorded and posted before this email came up for this specific cruise. And in this email, we now know the exact party themes that are going to be happening on the sailing. So in the email, they've got not just the names of the themes, but also descriptions of all the themes. But I'm just run through them very quickly here. We've got Enchanted Forest, which is like magical, forest, woodsy. We have Future-ish, which is a futuristic theme. And then we have the Think Pink Tea Dance, which is the color pink is the theme for that tea dance in the afternoon. The other 4 parties that are listed in the email are parties that we know those themes are going to happen. We know those parties are going to happen. So this is White Legends, which is the white party, Dr. Tea Dance, which is a military theme, the Disco Tea Dance, which is disco, and Neon Playground, which is a mix of neon colors and games, cartoons, etc. So those are the 7 themed parties that we will have on this cruise. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing surprising, to be really honest. And there are also going to be some unthemed parties, which are not listed in the email. You know, it's not announced, but I'm like 95% sure these other additional parties will happen just based on previous experience. So the first night will probably be a welcome party, which doesn't have a theme, but unofficially it is an underwear party, or just come as you are, wear anything that you would like. And the very last night will be the last dance, which is also not themed, which is if you really have to, on the very last night, just 8 or 10 hours before you have to get off the ship, go to one last dance, that you can go to the last dance, as is appropriately named. Now, somewhere in the middle of the sailing, I am pretty sure there's going to be a Atlantis Classics party, which there's not going to be any outfit or costume theme. The Classics party is about music from recent decades, usually 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. So it's a music theme. It's not a costume or outfit theme. Now, possibly on that same night that the Classics party is on, there will be an EDM concert. Okay, so on this particular sailing, for the last several years, they've had an EDM concert, and they've had a guest EDM DJ fly in and play that concert. Examples of guest DJs they've had before for the EDM concert was Atlantis, Gareth Emery, Above and Beyond, Oliver Heldens. Those are just some examples. Usually, if they will have an EDM concert, they usually don't announce it until at the earliest when the Cruise Vacation Guide comes out. The Cruise Vacation Guide, or the CVG, is a PDF that will have basically in-depth information about the cruise, everything you need to know about the cruise before you actually get on board. So it has detailed embarkation and boarding information, for example. And one section of the CVG is an entertainment preview. Usually the CVG is not released until 1, maybe 2 weeks before the sailing itself. So sometimes on cruises I've been on where there is a EDM concert, it might mention the EDM concert in the CVG, but not mention who is going to DJ it. I think once in a while they have mentioned who the DJ is in the CVG, but it's also possible that they don't even announce who it is until boarding day or until everybody's on board. So obviously Atlantis, sometimes with these possibly bigger, more famous guest artists, they kind of have to hold their cards closer to their chest and not kind of announce anything too early, understandably. But these are just examples of some of the artists that have played the EDM concert on board this particular cruise in previous years. Obviously, no guarantees going forward for 2025. Next month, who exactly Atlantis has been able to invite for an EDM concert. But the EDM concerts have been very, very popular, very, very well received. I'm all but certain that Atlantis will try to do an EDM concert. I'd be very surprised if they didn't do an EDM concert. The only question is, are they able to, get a big name DJ for this particular concert? And the Atlantis Classics Party is one that they've always had as an unthemed party, and quite often they pair the two particular parties to be on the same night. Sometimes they kind of overlap and run concurrently. Sometimes the EDM concert starts a little bit earlier, and then before the EDM concert actually ends, the classics party would have started at a different part of the ship, so you can kind of transition from one party to another. There's some logistical considerations they have. Quite often, they fly in the artists for the EDM concert while the ship is docked at whatever port of call they're at that day. I took a little look at the calendar, but it's on the Atlantis website. The itinerary has been posted for ages, so we kind of already know on which day of the cruise where the ship is supposed to be, whether it's at sea or it's like, at a port somewhere. Tuesday, Wednesday, we're at sea. On Thursday, we're at St. Martin, and there's an airport there, so the DJ can fly in to that airport, and then they can play that night on February the 6th. February the 7th, we're going to San Juan, Puerto Rico. There's an airport there. They can fly out. A lot of the time, certain performers and the entertainment that Atlantis gets for a sailing, they've got busy schedules. They've got different gigs to play. They can't just spend an entire week on the cruise ship when they're just playing one night or performing just, a couple of times. So via the ports of call, wherever the ship is going to be docked, they'll kind of board the ship, just partway through the sailing. They'll do their performance, play their concert, whatever it is. And then at the next port of call, they will disembark and then they'll fly out. Cool. So that is everything I think you need to know about this email that Atlantis has released. It's got a whole bunch of information in it. Again, check your inbox for that email. If you didn't get it, you can go into the Atlantis website, go into the section for this particular cruise. There's a subsection called Already Booked. Click on that, and then you'll be able to access the full text of the email. Now, before I sign off, a couple of people have asked me for just general gay cruise advice now that we are getting closer to the sailing. And I have on my YouTube channel, Just Joey T, there is a gay cruise advice YouTube playlist, which is a playlist of all the gay cruise advice videos I've ever created. So if you're interested, I'm going to link it down in the description below. Free to check that out. And also pretty soon, I'm going to be putting out some brand new gay cruise advice videos. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and stay tuned for those. But until next time, I'll be back next week with another episode of the Gay Cruise and Travel Podcast. Until then, bye y'all.